thought it would be neat to do a process video instead of just showing up with stuff. These are thoughts anyway, what I think it might mean. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order is a really fun game. I must have played it a handful of times. There's still a playthrough that I'm trying to get through. What I found really neat was the suspected story that happens in that game. They crafted one, and Cal Kestis, I remember the E3 press conference for the game, the debut. They brought the cast out and the producers, the writers, and they went over everything pretty much. And I could have sworn I heard that Cal Kestis wasn't the first idea for the game, but something that they settled into, where they built the Clint Eastwood type character. They even had him wearing ponchos. It turned out cool, but for the narrative, there's something lingering, I think. And that's the idea of Trilla being the main character for the game, the second sister. And that's the playthrough that I've been doing. Is I go in the Nexus mods and I swap out the Cal Kestis model for the second sister. And in the second game, Jedi Survivor, they made it even easier for people to play around and put different characters through the game. So in the game, what happens is Order 66, and all the clones and the Republic turn on the Jedi. And that's it. But what happens is Trilla finds herself on the run and kidnapped by the Empire. She's that strong of a Padawan that they try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Torture. They try to torture the character into becoming an Inquisitor. So, similar to the story of Cal Kestis, the difference is Seer. The story has it so that Seer failed her Padawan. I forget how exactly. I should look it up. Yeah, so in the story, Seer is forced to give up the location of Trilla, and Trilla gets captured and turns into an Inquisitor. And it's tragic. Cal Kestis, on the other hand, had to go run around on his own. And through the game, you go through memories of Force visions that remind you of how to be a Jedi. I find it interesting. I would have stayed with the idea of Trilla and Seer, but then they'd have to sell a game with two lady leads. They'd have to come back with Star Wars and have a woman lead, and then the supporting cast is another woman lead. Star Wars can be a little bit behind sometimes. They can be a little bit toxic. It's just the way it is. It's the largest fan community, I bet. But after that, he goes on the run, and then he makes connections. He finds friends in the world. The story has them looking for other lost Force sensitives who should stay lost so the Empire doesn't get to them. It's like Schindler's List. That's exactly what it is. It's Schindler's List, and Cal Kestis has to protect it. But I find the story interesting if it's Trilla. If it's Trilla who has to go on a quest, that means it's way more interesting. She's trying to reconnect with the Jedi, and when she does that, she has to find her master who failed her, who ratted her out, and sent her over to the Empire. That's a good story. The way I had it was the story is exactly the same as Cal Kestis's. During my playthrough, it's exactly the same thing, except Trilla is having a Force vision because the antagonist in the story is Trilla. So the moments that she's having are Force visions of her in the torture chamber. It dials things out almost meta, where you would sit down and play this game and find out all sorts of stuff, where she would encounter the first boss and it would be herself. And you're saying, okay, they're being extra about Force stuff. It's Luke in the Jedi cave. And it happens throughout the whole game. It's The Empire Strikes Back when Luke walks into the Force cave and realizes his true opponent and his true fear. And I thought it would be so clever if they did that through the entire game with Trilla it happens again in the what do they call them? The not the prequels, the sequels. Rey walks through a force cave too, but I think they did that on accident. She goes on the adventure, and eventually she encounters herself, and her other self starts giving info about how upset she is, about how her master betrayed her, and how she's dark side now, and the world's no good. I think Trill is a little bit different because she picked the dark side to live. For her, it's not I'm a villain. It's I'd like to stay alive, thank you. And all they're asking her to do is hunt down other Force users so that they have the monopoly. And she's like, okay. But the dark side, the Empire is dark. The Empire is dark. Her makeup got dark. She knows she's on the dark side. By the end of the game, she comes around to the understanding of, I wish that my Jedi Master had shown up during the torture. And Cal Kestis has her Jedi Master hanging out, helping him on his journey. It's like, dang it. They gave all my Christmas presents to this Cal Kestis guy. And she has to be a Grinch, and her heart has to grow 2 sizes too big. And say, okay, they haven't changed. They're still on the good side. All I have to do is walk over there too, and everything can be good again. And everybody can go run for their lives together, like I wanted it. But then Darth Vader shows up. It's such an interesting game. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, to be honest. To see that character walk through the game and understand that it's a Force vision under torture. That everything she's exploring, she's constantly chopping down Empire troops. Her brain is saying, I don't want to be this dark side user. I want to be the light side user, Padawan who's on the run. And then every encounter is, I don't want to be on the dark side. I want to be on the light side. It's a way more interesting game. And then it marches right up. She makes a friend who's a Night Sister, which is something that Cal cannot do. Cal cannot be born as a woman and have the option to head to Dathomir and become a Night Sister. But Trilla can. That would have been a clone, an alternate path for her to take in the story. I don't know how young you have to be. Uh, Let me see. If they're Padawans, maybe. It could have been. I don't know. Trilla could have dumped her Padawan off on Dathomir to be a Dark Knight sister. I don't know, but they have story there too. Um, it's worth thinking about. There's with this game, there's something that I haven't exactly worked out, where it makes sense with Cal. I've thought it through a little bit with Cal, and that's the little droid in the game. Cal comes across a little robot that helps him heal and open doors. He's the personal robot of Jedi Master Cordova. And he was left behind either for safety or to watch the door. And Cal finds him and he helps him on the journey. But if you take a step back, and look at the little droid, he's not so great. Throughout the game, the little robot parks himself on Cal's back. And it's great storytelling, because in Star Wars, the idea of machines and robotics with the droids, they're often seen as a lower class, almost like slavery. I think as Star Wars is a way of making commentary about slavery, is to have a servant class that doesn't have a choice. They even took it a step further in the original movie, where they're not welcomed in the bar. But with Cal, he has his droid on his back the entire time. And with that, it's helping him with directions, maps. It heals him. It's like an extension of himself. And it's on him. That's the main difference between that droid and other droids in the series who are walking around or stuck somewhere. And in the stories, generally, if a character loses a part of themselves, if a limb is lost, it's replaced by robotics. And it's a sign that that character has lost a piece of their humanity. That they've changed and become someone darker. And a healing needs to take place. Throughout the series, you'll see if a character may have lost a hand or something. It's usually a hand or an arm part. That they'll stare down at it at a moment of judgment. So with Cal, he has a figure that could be seen as some shadow on his back throughout the entire story. And I think that that's a parallel. It's a parallel to Order 66, which is a moment in Cal's life that is constantly with him with every choice that he makes. He's on the run, he's hiding. Every decision that he makes is about Order 66. And the story is basically saying, visually, that this character has a monkey on his back of darkness. And he's butting up to it. I thought that was so interesting. It's a really neat visual thing that they did there. Usually in storytelling, the hero might have a familiar along with them. And that's totally what the little droid is. But they've made it something a little different. It's a symbol, too, of the struggle in Cal's life. I definitely think it's a symbol of Order 66. The little droid is cute, but I think it's also very dark. When Cal, it's feeding him. When Cal takes a potion from it, it kind of looks like he's feeding a little droid. A little green medicine capsule pops out the top of his head. But someplace else in Star Wars is with Kylo Ren. When he gets injured, in that first movie, he punched himself in the side to try and heal up. It was, as cool as that looks, it's kind of dark to hurt the wound in order to not feel it. But Cal seems to be supplied by this droid by taking medicine from it, and as a symbol, it's like he's feeding off of Order 66. Like it's something that constantly fuels him whenever he feels hurt. I don't as the story goes on, it's interesting for a playthrough of if Cal gets hurt, the symbol of everything he lost kind of fuels him to keep going. Anyway, I haven't had too many thoughts past that with the little droid. What would be interesting is to go over it with Trilla. But in the end, I think this story is about caring. a moment happens in the story where you have a Jedi purge and people lose cared one, people that they cared about. For Cal, he lost his Jedi Master. And for Trilla, she also lost her Jedi Master, but her Jedi Master basically, with Trilla, she loses her Jedi Master Seer because Seer turns her in to the Jedi Order. I mean, to the Imperials. So when Trilla loses her Jedi Master in that way, she's turned in, she goes to the dark side. She gets tortured. And it's enough for her to not want to be a Jedi anymore. Cal's different. But fast forward to the end of the story. There's the list, which is basically Schindler's List. And it offers a type of contrast between the two. And that's why I think the game is basically about caring. Because when it comes to that list, Cal decides to do a type of pay it forward where Trilla wants to, I don't know, damage others because she was damaged. So I really do think it's about caring. Trilla found herself in a spot where she no longer cared about people. To me, the idea hardly makes sense of wanting to hurt someone because you were hurt. But it happens. It's therapy. That's exactly what happens to people. They get injured. And then they make judgments on other people. It's a little bit Republican. It's saying, this has been my experience, and it's not fair for you to have a better one. This is what the world is right now. And if that's the case, I'm going to make sure, I'm so injured by this, that I'm going to make sure that everyone has to deal with what I had to deal with. It's not fair. And that's basically where Trilla's coming from. And her wound isn't really healed until her master, her teacher, steps back into her life and says, let's pick up where we left off. And she begins to care again. So, I think that's what this story is about. Cal, on the other hand, he lost someone, and he's in a place where he hopes that never happens. He experienced not a betrayal, but a loss. So he immediately steps into the zone of caring. Of, I hope this never happens to anyone. I'm going to try and protect people from experiencing this loss. Apparently it hurt him that bad in that way. People are different. So that's my review. That's my review of story review of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's a really good game.